Lesson 12 involves learning more about form enhancement and form validation. And for your reading assignment, you can either use the web resources or go through chapter 13 in the book. And then for our key concepts, we have several different sections that we're going to look at. 3 of them are required, 1 of them is optional. The first required section is on JavaScript data validation and error handling. And the reason that we do the data validation in JavaScript is basically because even though the HTML5 validation is powerful, it is not consistent. And where the error messages display is not consistent either. So you can make your error handling look more professional if you do it through JavaScript. And so this document basically explains what you need to do to, first of all, turn off the HTML5 validation. And this is one of the keys to doing that. And then how do you set up validation in JavaScript? Okay, so it basically walks you through how to do all of that. And then you will also learn how to do the validation in jQuery. And jQuery does make it quite easy to do form validation. This document explains how to do it in jQuery. We will be utilizing a plugin called Validate, which is super powerful. I actually really like the way that the errors display. And so I've got a couple of live demos that you can kind of take a look at. This is jQuery, and then this is using jQuery Validate, so you can kind of see, what the differences are. So here, if I hit register and I haven't filled anything in, you can see it is telling me that I need to fill all of that in. And here is another one, and this is a jQuery Validate. And the thing I like about Validate is that once you start filling things in, the error message goes away. Okay. And with jQuery, it is going to do the same thing. Okay, so as you fill these in, it goes away, and then you can go ahead and register. So jQuery does provide some powerful capabilities for form validation, and this walks you through how to use it. Then this last section that is required is actually kind of important, and we've looked at it before, but when you get into form validation, that means you have to be able to access the information that is in the form. And so for input elements, we click here. This describes the HTML element, and this orange section describes how to access the element in JavaScript, which is something that you need to do in order to validate the information. So for the different form elements, you can see I have a link, and it'll take you right to the JavaScript section that you need to review. And this basically tells you how to access that section. Okay, and you have to be able to access the information in order to validate it. So that is the last required section. The last section I made optional because it's a review of how events occur, how they're handled, different types of events. So we did cover this earlier in the semester, but if it is something that is a little fuzzy, feel free to review information on events. Okay, and this is not the exact same document we looked at. This is focusing on the event object. Okay, and then for event itself, I went through the methods and the properties, animation events, properties, events. So you can kind of see I've focused it into the different event areas. And you can see the different properties. If there's methods that you can use, those are listed as well. So take a look through that, and you should have a pretty good feel for not only accessing the information in forms, but the event object itself and how to do validation in both jQuery and JavaScript. After you've gone through all of that information for the assignments, you need to create a Certiport account for your certification exam. And if you already have an account, all you have to do is log in and take a screenshot. And that is because you need to know your username and password when you go to the testing center. This is one of the ways that we ensure that you know that. And by submitting the screenshot, you get points. Then you will move on to your programming assignment. And the programming assignment involves using JavaScript validation and jQuery. In fact, you'll use the validate plugin. And so I've kind of created, some pages for you already. You're going to download this and you'll rename it. And this is the one you are going to be adding JavaScript validation to. You'll download the same form, rename it. And this is the one you're going to be adding the jQuery validation to. And then you've got a confirmation page, CSS, and the graphic. Okay, and then each of these sections, you'll open the respective pages, okay, and kind of walk through adding the validation. Okay, so that is your assignment. And once it's done, you're going to make sure you link everything into your assignment page and put done into the Dropbox. And then you will continue working on your term project. Okay, and that term project milestone 3, which is the end of the term project, that is due on April 24th. Okay, so it's not due this week, but the following week. Okay, so you have a showcase and you have your project that you need to complete. If you run into problems or if you have questions this week, please let me know and have an awesome week.